Welcome, friends. Today we are going to have some stories. We're going to have a godly play story and some children's liturgy of the word. I'm so glad you're here to join me as we spend some time getting closer to the mystery of Easter and getting to know Jesus in a new way in this Easter season. Are you ready? Here we go. Once there was someone who did such wonderful things and who said such amazing things that people wondered who he was. They just couldn't help it. Finally, they had to ask him, "Who are you?" And when they asked him who he was, he said, "I am the Good Shepherd. I know the name of each of the sheep, and they know my voice. When I take them from the sheepfold, they follow my voice. I walk in front of the sheep to show them the way. I show them the way to the good green grass. This is the table of the Good Shepherd. And this is the bread and the wine. Sometimes we might think that we might need a little statue or something to remind us that this is the Good Shepherd's table, but the Good Shepherd is in the bread and the wine, so we don't really need anything else. Sometimes someone comes to speak the words of the Good Shepherd and to share the bread and the wine with us. Sometimes the people of the world come to this table. Even the children come. wonder if you have ever come close to the Good Shepherd's table. I wonder if you have ever come close to the bread and the wine. I wonder if the people at the table are happy. I wonder where this whole place could really be. I'm going to move the sheepfold and tell you another story that we hear today. Today, the fourth Sunday of Easter, in this Easter season when we celebrate knowing Jesus in a new way. And the stories that we hear from the book of Acts are the stories of Jesus's friends and their experiences of Jesus. Here's just a little bit about the early church. The Gospels tell us stories about Jesus and the people he met. Now we are moving on to another part of the New Testament. Here we learn about the beginnings of the church. The book of Acts was written by the same person who wrote the Gospel of Luke. It's really like a small history book. In Acts, we read about how the church began. Many of the books in the New Testament after Acts are letters. So there's much more that we will learn. This was from our book that we like, Growing in God's Love. A little bit of background about these stories that we hear, these sacred stories. Something that's sacred is something that is special and holy and brings us close to God. So when you hear someone talk about a sacred story, that's something that's for you, just for you, to help you be close to God. So I was going to show you a couple of things today in our story. One of the things that we hear, let me get this organized. One of the things we hear when we read the words of our story today is you hear the phrase, day by day. You might have heard that phrase before, day by day. There have been songs written with those words. There's a hymn that we sing in church that has those words. There's a song in the musical play Godspell that has those words. Day by day. What do we pray for day by day? Here's our bulletin. This is the way I colored it. And remember, everything comes out just like this. Just like this when you print it out. Just black and white. And then you can make it your very own. Can you see the color I made the sheep? I made this sheep kind of a gray and black sheep. And in our Godly Play story, you can see we have sheep of many different colors. You can make your sheep any color you want. You might even want to make your sheep a rainbow sheep or something very different. And that's kind of the way I like to think about our ministry sometimes, is that we all have our own ministry. We all have things that we can do in the world day by day, but they might not all be the same thing. These people are helping other people, but that doesn't mean they all have to do exactly the same thing or to help people in the same way. So here are the words that we hear that go along with this story of day by day being close to God. This is from the book of Acts. It says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers. Awe came upon everyone because many wonders and signs were being done by the apostles. And the word apostles is another way to talk about Jesus' friends who were his disciples. All who believed were together and had all things in common. They would sell their possessions and goods and distribute the proceeds to all as any had need. Day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple, they broke bread at home and ate their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having the goodwill of the people. And day by day the Lord added to their number to those who were being saved. Some questions that you could ask yourself might be, if you can see someone doing something kind to help someone in this picture. Or maybe you can think about sometime you've seen someone in the world doing something kind for someone else. Maybe your family does something kind for other people. Part of our bulletin is kind of fun this week because inside there's a word scramble, and I'm not going to show it to you for very long so that you can figure it out yourself. And this might be hard if you're a very beginning reader. So this might be easier if you've been reading for a little while. But one of the things that this says is all who believed. That's the first part of that word scramble. And I wanted to tell you about what I think about sometimes with that word believe. I learned a long time ago that another way to think about that word is when you say, I believe, when we're talking about coming close to Jesus and God, is what I give my heart to. I give my heart to God. I give my heart to Jesus. I give my heart to God's beloved people. So sometimes when we hear that word believe, just like we hear in the beginning of this story this week, all who believed, you can also think about it as all who gave their heart to God, all who gave their heart to love, all who gave their heart to God's beloved people and God's beloved creation. So that's our story for the fourth Sunday of Easter. We remember that Jesus said that he was the Good Shepherd, that he knew the name of all the sheep, and that the sheep knew the sound of his voice. And that's how they knew who to follow. And then here's our reminder that someday we're going to come back to church, all of us together, and we're going to come to the table of the Good Shepherd and have the bread and wine. And then we can go out into the world rejoicing in the power of the Spirit. Take care, my friends. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.